need to know the truth.
Peace, fam. Oh my God. So my apologies. Thank God I have a master of production and I have a sister that's amazing. Woo! And then I'm here. I'm like, I cannot do this by myself. So first and foremost, thank you everybody to joining us at Disrupt the Chaos. We are now being led by Black Liberation Media. You're gonna see us more, even like maybe times where we're like, we need to report the news at 3 a.m. in the morning. And because I love Tondi, my producer, and her incredible understanding of what the fuck. I was telling one of my homies, Victoria, I love you. He's like, did you see this? I was like, absolutely not. This shit is fucked up. And I think there has to be a space created, not by an event, but actually political education, right? So yeah, I'm so happy to talk to Debbie. But as I've been following her, she is on it. The Boriken podcast is on it. And it's fucking amazing, right? Like, this sister is 10 toes down, as we would say, So, but I don't see her right now where I could add her to the stage. Okay, she's there. Also, like, I also want to get into this.
Hey. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor. I'm like, I don't want to stalk you, but I'm like, I need to see you.
Stalk away. I'll stalk you back.
But also, like, what the fuck, girl?
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
I want everybody to go to her podcast. She is breaking down what's happening in Puerto Rico. And, I have had some friends that were like, but you have privilege. I'm like, yeah, we're going to use that privilege. And then I also had some other friends like, you ain't Black, girl. And I was like, fuck you. I am Black, right? And she's someone that I've seen of her work where I talk about, like, listen, if we want to talk about colorism, right, then we could say Clarence Thomas is a Black man who hates Black people. We can also say Puerto Ricans that are visible can also hate being Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So I know I have your biography, but I would just say this again. I have followed Debbie. I don't even think we ever met yet.
I know. I don't think so. But I'll be there for the New York premiere of the film. So we're going to watch it together.
I'm going to watch it together, but I want to tell you also that in New York City, there's Black and brown people, but after New York, there's more Black and brown people. So there's a lot of places in upstate New York that have abandoned. Part of them being take it down is because these prisons shut down. So then you have an entire community where one day they had a job and then like a year later, the prison closed. Like, I'm more like, let the prison close, figure out whatever. So I think at this moment, honestly, with this short film, we need to be highlighting people and organizations, right?
Yeah.
We also have to be very, very careful about people using us, Yeah, so like, we're here, we're together. First and foremost, why did you decide, or how did it come out about this film, Mataron Pedro, which is they killed Pedro, but we're talking about Pedro Albizu Campos.
Yeah.
How did you get to this, all the work that you've done? So I want to talk to you about the podcast. And then after, how did this come about?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me here. I'm so happy to be talking to you. So excited to talk to you because you've been part of this journey too. You're an executive producer of the film. You've done you've connected me with so many people as well. So I just want to acknowledge you as well as someone that, you're powerful in your own right. And thank you, for giving, I think a lot about women and how important it is, right, to not gatekeep and to support each other and to try to find ways to uplift each other. And so I just want to say thank you, because a lot of this journey was really, to me, I feel like the universe putting everything together. So when it comes to the film, right, I was like just thinking about the Jerome Foundation grant that was kind of like what kickstarted, like, okay, now we have funding. Now we can really begin exploring how to make the film, right? And so we had seen the grant, and me and the director Chris, and we had been like, we should submit to this. And I think it was like, I don't know, maybe we spent 2 weeks on it. Some people spend a lot of time writing a grant, but like I'm saying, it's like the universe was really a part of this too, in the sense that I felt that, again, the subject matter, it was just coming at a time during the pandemic that we were like, we really haven't seen anything like this, and we need to see films like this. And so as we started to explore it and we started to write the grant and started to think about this, it was really about where each of us was. So like for me specifically, after Huracan Maria, my stepdad, who was an Afro-Boricua, passed away I want to say it was like 2 months after the hurricane, because he had a heart condition. And the neglect, right, of the Puerto Rican government, those in Washington, you already know, with Trump throwing paper towels, all of that led to his death. And so it really forced me into this, like, we had to start asking uncomfortable questions. All of us in the diaspora, those also on the island, who maybe, there's an erasure that happens. There's a way that people talk about our history that doesn't really explore the uncomfortable pieces of it. And so, I just want to say that I'm glad, because so many Puerto Ricans, both activists, filmmakers, people have gone out and have been telling these stories. So I think since the hurricane, I will say, right, like I'm sure you kind of remember this as well. Like I felt like in that moment, it kind of opened the floodgates for a lot of us in terms of wanting to tell stories, in terms of, not letting our stories be buried. And so with all of those deaths after Maria, I think it was really it was like all of us kind of coming together as a community and trying to find that unity. And I think that that's something that, we have to continue to do, because I think we'll talk about this piece too, but like right now there's legislation that is taking away the land, that's taking away the coast from Puerto Ricans. That's really going to accelerate displacement here on the island. And so I want to talk about that too, but I want to say that
so I think what's happening is this, like, all right, the elections, and then this stuff says crazy shit about us. But it's also like, maybe there are some Puerto Rican people that are in arts or film. Like, where are they? And when I say where are they, I say it like this. People saved the New Rican Post Cafe, right? And Claridad La Bruja spent 3 years to make sure that was not going to shut down. But also, we're in a time period where I think that people are not understanding that the rest of the world is looking at us on some like, well, we're going to support, right? Like, that's what happened right now in Cuba. Like, people can talk about the thing about he's not going to do this. I'm like, Mark Rubio's dream is this, right? Like, he's like, oh my God, I love this. But I will also say I have been a critic, because there's so many incredible people. But at the end of the day, it comes down to visibility. My whole shit is like coming through in the Ferguson era is like high impact, right? What does that look like? And then it's also like visually seeing me and you. And because you got it, so I'm gonna say it. The amount of people that like, y'all are really not Black. You're really not. So for me, in the process of being Black studies, I never saw my skin color, right? Social media space, this idea that just like, if you're darker than we are, you're revolutionary. And the only thing that's really like talking about it right now is Michael Blake trying to unseat Richie Torres. And the amount of people
Mhm.
that have told me was like, but he's Afro-Boricua. And I'm like, yeah, that don't shit matter to me. It's not about,
Yeah.
I need to know your politics. And that's why I have been fascinated your work for 5 years. Like,
Mm.
sure, you've gotten you real light girl. You don't represent us, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's really important. Like this story, right, is exploring an Afro Boricua that stood up against, the empire at a time when there was so much repression. And so nowadays, it's interesting. Yeah, the Richie Torres conversation is so interesting to me because he's like the antithesis of like the Pedro, right? It's like how could you go so against like what we represent, right, as Puerto Ricans, as a colonized people, like siding with the colonizer. And then of course you saw what happened with Arcangel. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. I was like, I love how many people bought this shirt.
No, girl, I did not even know because I literally, for my mental health, I'm like, I'm
Oh
out.
yeah, no. Don't even. It's not worth it. It's just,
You gotta break down to everybody that might have seen it, but what the truth is.
it's
No,
all right.
before.
I didn't catch what you said.
Oh no, I was just saying like maybe people heard, but it's also like organized that you doing the work. Like,
Yeah, amplifying that. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to share about that process.
Oh, with how I started the podcast a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So after Huracan Maria, I had been studying at the BU School of Public Health, finishing a master's in epidemiology. And I was taking a lot of courses. And somewhere along the way, I guess one of my like social epi classes, I believe it was, where I just having this conversation about how important narratives are, right? Like how important it is to use your voice, how important it is to see yourself reflected. I mean, this film is a big piece of that, right? Like we want to see ourselves reflected in film and in podcasting. So I started the podcast thinking to myself, like, I need to learn. I want to be able to amplify the work of people on the ground. And so these interviews that I started was really also like bringing people along on my journey. Like this is how a person born and raised in the diaspora, Puerto Rican, that sounds the way I sound, because very much like the code switching of like I had to like really assimilate in order to feel like I could survive in the environment that I grew up in. And I think that that's a conversation like we don't really have in too many spaces. And so that's why I started the podcast, kind of like, hey, if you're in the same boat as me, like learning about also your Boricua, Afro that said Afro descendiente, said Afro-Indigenous. Like if you also want to learn with me, like come along. And so that's how it started. It just like really telling people, and I still feel like that's what it is, like sometimes I feel like, and this, like when you are reporting stuff, people kind of treat you like a product, and like, no, I'm a person, like I'm going through things. We go through things. And so I try to like bring people into those conversations on like what it is to live here in Puerto Rico, or like before when I was in the diaspora. And so I think a lot of the conversation around sort of like the podcasting then led into filmmaking, because then I started getting more involved in like learning about filmmaking, with the first film being an animated short film called Nuevo Rico that won a South by Southwest. And that, of course, completely shocked me. And I think a lot of people, when they get into film, it's like, you never know when something will like really, but it was so impactful. And I'm so grateful, because as I went into the podcast, I started to realize how important telling stories is. It's not just here's the information. It's how we tell the stories.
What I want to say to you is, me being an elder and me watching the news, I was just like, I don't think you're tapping on to who you are. Because a historian, right? Like,
Yeah.
history is telling the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, good or whatever, this exists. And also, I also know you're a copying in a space. So, like, I think with the Boricuas, right? Like, younger people don't know this history. And I feel like we want them to know it. And then we're like, how do we get out of it? But also, like, it's not us. It's not us that want to do the work we're doing. It's us that get banned from the work that we are doing. So
Mhm.
your podcast and how it's grown, and then just kind of like what's going on in the country is like there's a universal hip hop museum, right? So that's real. But what does that be real? If it's just going to be certain people that are going to like disrespect people, our people, you know? And I think you represent that.
Sorry, you cut off just a little bit at the end.
I was talking about museums, public history, and all of that, and how the work that
Same.
you're doing feeds into that history. And as a
Yeah.
historian myself, I'm like, listen, it's good and it's not good. As a historian, you put all the stories out there.
See.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, so important. Also, I'm seeing somebody in the comments mentioned about I was saying that like the laws that they're putting into place here are like part of it is a design to steal the land. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of expropriation happening. Like there's actually people who are saying like, oh, the government's taking my home and saying they're going to need it because they're going to build a project here. It's really important and making all these excuses. So whoever's in the comments saying that, no, they're not trying to steal the land from Puerto Rican people, they need to learn a little bit about colonialism, just letting you know, letting you know that that's what's happening here. And I think that that's, to your point, like people don't know the history or they've been indoctrinated into a history that's very convenient, right, for the empire, for those that seek to
That'd be
benefit.
because you have that experience about like Pan African and Puerto Rican nationalism. I think like younger people are trying to figure out where do I fit in?
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. Especially here. There's been also conversations around how, you know, again, there's a lot of organizers. We have to give credit to the people here who have been really pushing, especially in the census. How do you identify? A lot of it was white. And now, you know, after decades of work, people are starting to embrace their blackness, embrace their Afro-Indigenous side as well. And so I think that that's, you know, that's happened over a lot of time. Definitely for me as well. I think everyone has had their journey into that, but we need more conversations and we need to support, you know, those people who are doing that. So it's definitely something important to highlight. Yeah.
And I want to tell you this: have you had an experience where people were like, "You're man light skin, you're not black"? Have you had an experience in cultural politics around like this is how I identify? Because I had that experience, and it really
I'm
hurt.
sure. Yeah.
I mean, it also like it kind of shows me what we didn't connect with, right? Like, I'm not saying you should be Debbie or any people. What I'm saying is like maybe we found the action to this shit, and let's keep moving it forward.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think there's so many conversations that, you know, that's so funny because I've done this short, again, I like reels, but I also hate them in the sense that we only get a little piece when we talk about colorism, when we talk about racism and the mixing, but then people aren't willing to talk about anti-blackness, or they're like, oh, but it doesn't happen as bad here, or it doesn't happen as bad in our communities, but it does. There's anti-blackness. And so when I talk about it, I'm like, yes, soy afrodescendiente, I'm black, but then I'm also, I have privilege to a certain extent, the way I talk, my education, even though, you know, both my parents son de barrio in Puerto Rico, both of them were raised in like very poor barrios. They left the island when I was 2 years old because they couldn't find opportunities here because of course, who are the people who are displaced first from a colony? The people who can't, you know, who can't make a living here. And, you know, there's a lot of also displacement in terms of education, a lot of students who had to leave because the education system here, although some of them left because their parents, you know, paid for it. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. Pero all that is to say, right, that I think that, you know, when it comes to Afro Latinidad, and when we're talking about, you know, these nuances. We definitely need spaces for this, not just like a reel that I'm like, yes, this happens, because I feel like it did engage a lot of people and I'm glad, but I wish we could do more, right? Like I wish that there was an opportunity to do more of those. So I'm glad you're bringing this up, because I think it's definitely time to, especially in light
like,
of the film. Yeah.
Like the way I know about you, I'm always connected on just some colorism, right? So we're like, we get it, we're not light skin. But I think there's a moment right now, like not in Hollywood, but a moment for our people to know their true history. But also
Yeah.
like, what are we gonna survive? Like,
Yeah.
right? Like our conversation last year is looking a lot different with all,
Mhm.
right? And I'm like,
Sí.
listen, so many incredible organizations. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, as dope we are at, I really believe in this thing. Decolonize people, decolonize minds, right? So, and I get it, but I also am like kind of tight. I'm like, we already been known this. What does that
Mhm.
look like? I mean, I'm not just saying like it's fucked up. What I'm saying is like, come on. All of us at some level have met with elders. We've gone to the cities. We've been like, this is good. And everything that we want to do is stop. That doesn't mean about the people we work for. It means about like, this shit is fucked up. And we got to figure something really different. So with the
Yeah.
film, you know, and I really like, I want everybody to understand the work that you did about of Abiso Campos, just on some like nobody even knows the story. And as a historian for me,
Yes.
I'm like, let's go. Like, what do we need to look? So I'm just gonna it's funny right now in Los Angeles, everybody, the short Mataron Pedro, they killed Pedro just premiered. I kind of feel like me and Debbie were like, oh my God, we should have been there. And it's happening. So within that construct, what do you think people need to know more? But Boricuas need to be like, hey, this is like what we need to be doing.
Yeah, I want to mention real quick that even though it's screening in LA at the Los Angeles Latino International Film Festival, we are asking people to fill out. I put the form in the comments here, a
Yeah.
screening request form, so that we could bring it to your city, because that's been another piece of it. Is like, you know, there's been a lot of work behind the scenes that we've been working on, but one of those things is, how do we bring together the community in terms of like, can we bring Ismael? You know, can we find funding to bring him, to bring the director, to bring Juana, an incredible actress that really, we need to talk about the women in the movement as well. Laura Menezes. So all of these aspects of it, we really want to make these screenings, these community screenings, be a place for conversation, a place to dialogue with the people who made the film. So yeah, if anybody's watching and they want to find a way to bring the film to their city, if you could fill that out, because then that helps us bring all of the information together. And yeah, I think for this piece, right, like there's been such a long history of resistance in Puerto Rico that hasn't been acknowledged, right? That has been to a certain extent hidden. And there's a lot of families here in Puerto Rico that are part of the nationalist movement, that were part of, you know, a lot of this. And so they know, but it always surprises me when I hear of a young person here in Puerto Rico that hasn't heard the history of Pedro Albizu Campos. Or if I hear of someone in the diaspora, maybe it's less surprising, but it still affects me when someone in the diaspora is like, no, I like literally a month ago was like, I haven't heard of Pedro. And she's actually, you know, not of the young, not young, but she's also, I'm like, how do we get the story out there? So anyway, I really hope that this film will.
That's I'm like, you've been doing good work. Right now,
Yeah.
the media landscape is dead. Legacy media is done. Right? Like there's gonna be a lot of code journalists, but we don't have something that talks about us around identifying as Black Latinos or Black Puerto Ricanos, right? Which also includes exhibitions, movies.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's more like, oh shit, this is the gathering place, right? Like, right? You could be in Puerto Rico, you could be somewhere else, but part of the Borican experience is like wherever we go, we're gonna fucking go. And that's what I think is hard. But also women are the ones running these organizations. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, first of all, the women run everything. And I think that's important because having a daughter, you know, in Gen Z, and she's like, you didn't do your job. I was like, no, we literally did our job. Like what we said is like, it might be fucked up, but we're gonna stop it at this point, right? Like we're not gonna go beyond this. So I also, as we wrap up, I want to tell the audience around Essencia and what's happening in Puerto Rico, and it's a lot, and that's why I wanted like, you know, Debbie break it all down.
Yeah, no, definitely. Essencia is a topic that I think, you know, people need to know. First of all, there was a march on March 28th. 50,000 Puerto Ricans took to the streets. And that just shows you that this is a movement that has been growing steadily. And it's at a breaking point now because just when all of the people went out to protest against this project, all of a sudden now there's legislation saying in order for you to submit to a judge a case saying like we need this project investigated, you know, and if you trying as a regular citizen or a business person, anybody, if you're going to try to go against a project in terms of like, I want it investigated, I want a judge to look at it, I want to make sure they're following all of the permitting laws, even just that will cost you, you will need to pay 10% of that project. Essencia is, I think, $2 billion. So where's the community going to find $2 million to pay for that?
Like you saying we got to pay to do what?
So a person would have to, so a community, right? If they're going to go and say to like the courts, like, hey, we want to submit a case to investigate. We want to check the permitting. All of that would that would require a fee now. So you can't just like, it violates your constitutional right? So like to actually find a legal way. And I think that's a lot. Yeah. Raul here in the comments says many people don't understand that like anyone that lives here on the island, if you as a business person as well, like let's say they start construction next door and you're like, since when are they allowed to build right here? This used to be a protected reserve or something. You can't even take it to court because you'd have to pay 10% of whatever that project costs. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, Debbie, are you in Puerto Rico at the streets or somewhere else?
So I'm in Puerto Rico, yeah. And so I've been working with the Bori Collective, and through the work with them, we've been collaborating with organizations on the ground like Defienda Cabo Rojo. I know the Bori Collective. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm not pushing you on this, maybe a little bit. I think even with everything going on, that Black Puerto Ricans are also being left out. And it's also like, it's not a contradiction. Like everybody watching this right now, they're like, these bitches are real light. Like, I mean, because I'm saying I know what you've gone through. I know what I've gone through. And at some level, it's not about that. The level is they're trying to take our island, period. Exactly. So we have that operational unity around, like, I don't have time to talk about why I'm white, I'm at lit skin. I'm like, because what's happening in this country, like people in Puerto Rico might understand it, but organizations are like, it's not going to happen. And then we're like, no, it's going to happen. So because you've also been doing the podcast and you're like, you know, this is what's going on the island, Puerto Rico, this is going on for the diaspora. What made you want to do the podcast?
Yeah, so I had, like you said, I had done the podcast, then I went to filmmaking, and I came back into podcasting again, just sort of like, it felt like the right moment. It's kind of interesting too, that we think about the ways that this happened, right? The film finished production, and then I was like, okay, now maybe I could refocus a little bit more on the podcast. And that's when I think everything came together. I felt so much like again, this journey has been very much our ancestors leading us, right? Because I feel like in organizing, in getting out on the streets, in finding out how to organize, because that's another thing that most people, I'm willing to admit, like, I'm still learning about organizing. I want to learn more. I don't ever want to get to a point where I'm like, I know everything I need to know. I want to learn with people. I want to feel like I'm building a community. You know, one of the things that I love about organizing now is that, like, we see each other, like we hold space for each other. We know that not everyone's perfect, but like, we know that we have to keep going because this is bad. This is really bad. And we have to build unity. So I think you're right. I think any sort of like times that we feel like, oh, okay, like there's always going to be tension, but it's like, how do we build together, like cross organizations, cross groups, cross like everything, because we literally don't have any more time. Like the way things are going, like you said, organizations are not, some or like larger institutions aren't realizing like we need these organizers, these activists. We need to support people, you know?
No, and I'm glad you said that, because right now there is a line, right? There's a line of like, fuck y'all, I'm not dealing with it. And then fuck them that have the power of the state. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Not in a bad way, we keep doing the work, but we're dealing with the United States of America, right? Like, they will fucking shut shit down. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, there's something on Netflix called Day Zero. It's 6.
I haven't seen that. What is it about?
Yeah, it's basically about like a former ex-president, and then he gets a call like this shit is going on, and the rest of the movie is just like, we need to know all the pockets of those that don't side with us. And I was like, oh shit, because I love all these kind of movies.
Yeah, they're good.
I think like what you and then your crew have done is bring a character, a real person, including his wife. Because every time I do or write, I always be like, yo, where's the wife? You know where the wife is? She's fucking, everybody come in. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to go to my bedroom, figure the shit out. Right? But also, I think what we're not recognizing is the power of the state. Right? Like, people are not recognizing that 2 days ago, the Trump administration from the IRS got $1.8 billion, right? Which is their bank account, right? Like, and so for me, while we know this knowledge, we got to figure it out. And I think Puerto Rico obviously has been the point of like, we have to feed ourselves. We have to cook for ourselves. We have to, the doctors. And I think what is happening within the African-American construct and the Puerto Rican construct, and us always being together, is like, yo, what are we supposed to do? Well, what we're supposed to do is listen to our people, listen to people in general. And because you're younger and you've been doing this work, what is one thing or two things that you want to see should be happening?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. That's an easy one for me, because I think a lot of people have been saying,
journalists. So like,
I love this question though, because a lot of people are like, what can we do? And like, why can't we have these artists speak and talk about it? And it's like, no, the way that we get ahead of all of this that they're planning, right? These surveillance centers, they're not data centers, they're surveillance centers. We have to actually get together in person. We have to organize. We have to make the time. A lot of people say, but I just don't have the time. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm doing this. I think we can all find the time. I think we can. I believe we can, because I think that there's going to come a point where like we won't have time at all, because like that's what scares me too, that we look back and we wish we had done more. We wish I wish I'd gone to that meeting once a week, just once a week, spent that time, looked at ways that you could use your skills. Like there's, yes, the podcast is great, but I have a lot of respect for the people who are on the ground, the people who are taking and organizing those meetings, just getting people together, saying, oh, you know, this is a good strategy. Why don't we do this campaign for this? Why don't we do this petition? Because even a petition, that gets people's attention. You know, people get really mad. Like, what does a signature do? And I say, that gets just attention. You know, they might not be, that's not the end goal, right? That you just throw a petition out there. But I'm saying, like, what are ways that you can like spend some time every week, carve it out? You know, that's all I ask, that people, you know, liberation and decolonization aren't just like abstract terms. They're about what, about the work. You know, a lot of what Pedro Albizu Campos, Laura Meneses did is like, they did the work. They got with the people, they got with the workers, right? And like him being part of the sugarcane, you know, that strike that they did, like that, you know, that moment, that's where, you know, that's where the film starts. But I just want to say that that's, you know, that's just a piece of it. He did so much. Laura did so much. She traveled all over the world. And so, you know, a lot of people don't have the ability or maybe the belief that they can do that work. But I definitely would say, like, sometimes you surprise yourself, right? So I just ask people to like, don't hesitate, just dive into the work, you know?
Yeah, and I'm gonna up it. Like I still think you're underestimated, like what you have been doing, right? Like,
Sometimes I
and
think that too. I will just say that I feel honored in a sense, because I'm glad that I could cover some of what I've covered. Like sometimes I look back and I'm like, I get emotional because I'm like, I'm glad because this person told me that because of what I said on my podcast, they went and they helped, or they went and they connected with someone else. So like,
and
even
that's
though,
the whole thing with younger, you know, like when we fight, we win. Period.
that's it.
Right? And what does that look like? But also, like right now, there's so many millions of people suffering, gas, food, and all that, right?
Yeah.
But it's also crazy to think about that. Even as they're angry, they still support the president, right? So it's like we need to have that around. I don't care about electoral politics. I'm more like, again, how do we feed ourselves? What does that look like? What does
Yeah.
it mean, like, you know, teach our children and not go into fucking public schools? And I think that's a big thing in your generation. I'm
Mm,
someone like, we were promised this and it did not work out.
yeah.
So
No,
what do you
agreed.
think?
Yeah. I feel like I've been seeing a lot of this that's been happening, I think, naturally here as well, as I've seen some of those examples out there. But because I'm here, I see these things pop up within the organizations and groups here, but just like finding ways to build like that collective support system, right? Like, because you're right. Like, I think as things are falling apart out there, and we're seeing how, again, they're poisoning our land, they're poisoning the water, they're poisoning the food. So what are ways that as a collective, right, we're building the community to sustain ourselves, or to find ways, right, to start doing that? Because I think sometimes people get intimidated, but there are already people building fincas, building, you know, these collaborative projects that allow people to learn about how to build, you know, how to make their own food, or how to survive with outside of the system. I guess that's what I mean to say. And if, yeah, if
Right. That's
anybody, if you want to add to that, yeah.
No, that's the whole point. Because when you look back at the 60s, the 70s, right? So many
Mm,
documentaries, so many movies. And at the end, all of them were like, we thought we were gonna die. So we're going to fuck in. I think what's happening now is just reflected on people being afraid and scared.
yeah,
That's
there's a lot
real.
of
Like,
fear.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
There's so much of all of that. But before I let you go, I want to make sure that everybody who's listening, and I'm going to every New York City, even Philly, I'm going to like take the train. And
yeah.
what I want to say is that my generation of hip hop folks, I think we got to lay back in this way. We have to show how much your generation has done. We have to show that it's a fucked up world, but being within a hip hop generation means a lot of speaking gigs around like we got you. And then lastly, like we're in racial capitalism. I think that's the one thing we're not understanding in our own communities, right? So it's like Bad Bunny, so forth, whatever, $250 million. And I'm like, you're not getting that money. I'm not even mad at Bad Bunny. I'm like, that's not what he said. And in this conversation, in less than 18 months, the Puerto Rican people and the experience is out there, right? Like, it's Bad Bunny, and we're gonna buy like a flag, we're gonna buy a t-shirt, we're gonna do this. And then the white women were like, oh, we should take up all the land, right? Because us as a people generally was like, we just want to live together. How do we figure that out? We're not trying like raise rents. We're not. So I think with your writings, but also Natasha Alford's writings, it's like that's what we need to be thinking about. And then last, us coming together in a space, hopefully, is also joy. It's also like, I never met you. I know who you are. Let's go. Oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Because that is what keeps our people together around the politics, but the cultural, right? And you have been doing that work. Yeah. So yeah, I want you to tell everybody who how they can reach out to you.
Oh yeah. So they can follow me on Substack, Boriken Pod there, YouTube, Boriken Podcast, and then Instagram is where I'm most active. So Boriken Podcast on Instagram. I also I added it in the comments. I have a PayPal if you guys want to just donate directly in a merch store where you can get t-shirts like this one.
Also, because there's so many people following you right now, what's something that you can tell people maybe they're not in the struggle? How do they become part of the struggle?
Yeah, I think, sometimes people feel, what is that? The imposter syndrome. Oh, if I go, I don't know if I'm going to fit in. I feel like I felt that very early on, like 10 years ago, I felt the same thing. I'd go to a protest and I'm like, oh, but I don't know if I should be here because I don't want to feel like I'm encroaching. And it's like, we need your presence there. We need you to talk to people, make friends. Like, these protests aren't just like going out and we're there to make a statement, but we're also there to make community, to talk to people, to get to know people. And even just like you said, this space right here with you, if it's like this, I needed this today, and I was with a friend over the weekend and I'm like, I needed this, just spending time, just talking, even if it's about difficult subjects, but we need to hold space for each other.
It's funny you say that, because I would say my husband, I'm like, yo, Debbie's in, right, like 10 toes down, let's go.
Yeah. But I appreciate everyone who's following and everyone who's like taking that step.
Yeah. You were saying is every day something may be different. When we wake up, we don't even know, right? And I think that's the most important part of it around narratives. And like, at the end of the day, we got to have each other's backs. It doesn't mean like we're not going to be at the dinner or the restaurant every day. It means like that's what is about, community. And I don't know. I don't know. But I really like following you and seeing the work that you're doing really reminded me about, it's about the work. It's not about a visibility. It's about the work. It's not a hashtag. It's about the work. We're going to Sundays with our titi and our cousins, and we're like, yo, you really fuck. Don't say that shit. But that's what,
that's
right?
it.
That's what happens, because as an organizer, one thing we always say is like, you got to outroot it in your body, i.e. colonize minds, minds, right? And how that looks like, especially given right now where people are just like, I can't even deal with that. Like, I'm going to, it's 4 a.m. and toda esa cosa. So, I mean, obviously everybody, I'm going to be seeing my sister Debbie. For me, coming through how I was raised is to give the younger people the space, i.e. me as Rosa. I'm going to be at all events, and I'm going to trust that everybody's doing that. And I'm not going to be overbearing, and I'm going to like do it like this. I'm going to be in that room while all these younger people are doing their thing, and I'm be like, let's go, fam. Because
thank you, Rosa.
I mean, that's the whole point of all of this, right? Like, we are supposed to like dig down in knowledge. And we gotta have an expectation that we respect the work that you all are doing. We're not overtaking it. If we do, I'm just like, get the fuck out the way, you know. Yeah.
No, it's important. It's important to talk about. Thank you, Rosa. I'm so glad you invited me to talk.
No, I'm good with your time. So yeah, everybody, Debbie Perez, follow her Boriken podcast, follow her. We're gonna do more interviews and just show her the love about understanding that at the end of the day, we're fighting for our people. And whatever that looks like, we're gonna do that. And we need younger people like you and other people like, I don't want to deal with this shit. I'm gonna deal with this and keep it moving. So thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, Rosa. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Hey, fam, thank you so much. I thought it was a great interview, for sure. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you.
Hey, Rosa. Live. I'm going to close that, okay?
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their history, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to this channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon and a member of the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, show your love, as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.